How's it going? Want to make this video about my experience from my perspective of going through a spiritual awakening, and pretty much what, just my perspective on it, and kind of how it came to be. Without going too far back, I'd like to keep this, like without telling my whole life story, just keeping it, from the point of kind of the catalyst of it and all the way up to today, and just kind of briefly go over it. Um, so yeah, it started pretty much a year ago today, maybe, give or take, um, a few months, but yeah, about a year ago. Um, and it pretty much, once it started, it kind of just, it was like I was locked in, and it was like, it was like, there's no going back. Like, and obviously it's scary in a sense, but once you understand, it's like, oh, this is just leading me to the next chapter of my life, the next version of myself, however you want to look at it. But yeah, so about a year ago, I was working a job I hated, and just angry, miserable all the time, and just anxious, depressed, and um and I had came across, um like, like 6 years ago. I'd, maybe watched a video or two about like law of attraction and just like universal laws in general. And, but I didn't really, delve into them or delve into the spiritual aspect. But yeah, like I about a year ago, I came across more like law of attraction and just stuff like that, stuff beyond the physical. And then I started, doing some research and everything, and uh, started having certain realizations, and it all just clicked with me, and I resonated with it. And then um, I was kind of having, without going into too much detail, kind of just feeling, my relationships, like my friendships and stuff, just kind of, it just didn't feel the same, and nothing against anyone, obviously I understood, like, you know, it wasn't anybody else's, like, there was nobody to blame. It was just that, the energies were just different, and it wasn't the same anymore. So yeah, and as the time passed on, this was about a year ago, like I said, when it first kind of started, and then I would do more and more research. And then yeah, there came to a point to where I full on felt like I was, disconnected from my old self and my old belief, like, my old identity pretty much had was beginning to, die, for a lack of a better word. And um it was scary because, you know it was like a battle of control. Like, I wanted to control. I didn't want to let go, and didn't want to surrender to it, and it caused a lot of darkness and despair and sadness and just a rough time. And it kind of, as I went on, yeah, it was like there was no going back. And that's a hard thing to accept, like, because you know you tend to look at, our past when we're in it. We might want out, and we might think, oh, I want something better. But then once you start, like, losing touch with that reality, for a lack of a better word, it's like then you start, like, nostalgia, or just something kicks in to where it's like you want to go back, but not realizing that what's coming forward is much better. Obviously, it's more in line with what you want, and who you're meant to be. And I obviously wasn't happy before, and it's not like I was in a great place when I had this awakening. But yeah, it just felt like I was disconnected from everything, my old life, my old identity. And then I was in this, like, this weird, and I still am, to an extent. I'm not, a year later, I'm not fully aligned with with who I want to be. I'm not fully where I want to be. And this is just the journey of it. And I'm a lot more further away from who I was before, and in a good way, in all the good ways. Um, Obviously, we still have a sense of ourselves, of our core values and whatnot, but certain things change. Um, certain habits, or certain friendships, or certain you know just toxic behaviors, just certain things. So yeah, I felt like I was unplugged from my old life, and then um unplugged from my old self, and yeah, it felt like I was in this weird, like, purgatory middle zone of like spiritual depression, and like bad anxiety, and having like physical symptoms. And um obviously my mind went straight to, oh, I'm dying, and panicking, in panic mode. But when I would go to doctors and everything, they'd be like, you're fine. Or you know it was interesting how my body even felt. It's just, just feeling cold. And um the world around me felt like it was just like gray, and just depressed, like spiritual depression. And just like, what's the point, and stuff like that. And because when you lose in touch with who you used to be, it's like it can feel very hopeless, without realizing that what's to come is obviously better for you. So yeah, it was kind of coming to an acceptance of, I'm not who I used to be anymore, energetically. And um kind of having to stepping out of this identity. And it felt like I was, like, disassociation, I believe, and derealization, like things of that nature. And just um feeling like none of this is real, and feeling like, and like going in and out of my identity, and kind of just bouncing back and forth. And I would start to feel like very good, and very like, I just felt so good at times. And then at other times it was like I was super low and super depressed, super anxious. It was like there was no balance. I had to balance myself out. And I feel like I've reached that state. I'm a lot more balanced now, which is great. And it came with more understanding, and more experience, um and just pretty much understanding. And yeah, so I mean, there were many days of, like I said, depression, anxiety, um physical feelings and sensations, just feeling out of it, pretty much is the best way to explain it. Feeling drained. um when I would try to go do something that I used to do, or certain things that I used to do, it would just wouldn't it wouldn't like it just wouldn't be the same. And the best way to explain it, it was like there was no going back. Like, I couldn't escape anymore. I couldn't run anymore. I had to go through this. And yeah, there was a lot of nights of like just crying, and just letting out all that negative emotion that was built up over the years. And very, very tough time, but it was also healing at the same time. And very an isolation period that just was hard as well. But and realized that it is for my benefit, and just reprogramming my mind. And um yeah, just for for moving forward, it just was like cleansing yourself, and then being able to pick up those new better habits, those new better beliefs, and stuff like that. But yeah. And um yeah, I think I covered everything. Just this was over this whole past year and up to now. And um obviously ups and downs, like a roller coaster ride. But in the end, like, where I am now to where I was a year ago today, um feel so much better overall. And just a lot more, my feeling states are a lot more balanced out. And we're still, you know we're still going for the higher feeling states, obviously, and dominantly. And that can take time, but in due time it will occur. um but yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed, and take care.